Welcome back. In the next 15 minutes, I'll be going through a quick introduction to FDO. You'll see on our website, we have a number of different videos that go into FDO in quite some detail. So feel free to dip into those if you feel you want to know more. And of course, on the website itself, you'll find other additional information and of course, the specification itself. But I'll be talking not just about what it is, but also the value it brings to customers. And then you'll be hearing very soon from the customers and users themselves. I'm sure almost all of you know who the FIDO Alliance is, but just in case, we're an open industry association with a focus on reducing the world's reliance on passwords. We have over 300 members from around the world. And probably the one thing, if the FIDO doesn't jump immediately to mind, I'm sure the word passkeys will. The members of the FIDO Alliance created the passkey specification. So when you're logging into your home or work emails or into accounts for purchasing online, you may well have seen a change from password saying, would you like to upgrade your account from a password to passkeys? And again, that's exactly the technology driven by the FIDO Alliance's members. So you're in good hands in terms of the organization with FDO. So let's talk about FDO. And as I said, today's session is all about FDO, not about passkeys. When you look at an edge or an IoT solution, and again, I'll just spend a second there. Obviously, there's a lot of discussion. What's the difference between edge? What's the difference between edge and IoT? In this presentation, I'll tend to talk about edge really as more kind of heavier compute devices that sit at the edge, as the name suggests. IoT obviously covers a broad spectrum of solutions all the way down to microcontrollers and all the way up to obviously heavier compute solutions. And we'll touch on both. But again, throughout the presentation, you'll probably hear us talk about both edge and IoT. But if you're installing those devices in a facility, there's a point at which those devices need to be onboarded to its management platform. And that management platform, it can be on premise in the building, or it can be in the cloud. But you really need to do that. And what FDO does is it offers a truly plug and play, secure way of onboarding it in an automated, secure fashion. So we're all about, taking the password out, taking the human out of that installation. As much as possible, we want the whole process to be automated and secure. So if we kind of contrast and compare the way in which devices today are onboarded versus how they are with FDO. Today, it's done invariably manually. A technician goes in, they configure the device. That can take anything from to often 20 minutes per device. I've certainly heard users talk about what can be hours of time installing solutions and setting them up. And it goes without saying that that's expensive. I mean, you're paying for that technician. And then, of course, there's the security element. There's all kinds of risks of passwords being reused, default passwords, poorly chosen passwords. So that, needless to say, is a major issue, particularly when you're building products which are of high sensitivity. If you're somebody like ExxonMobil, clearly security is paramount. And then last but not least, clearly you need a skilled technician to do that installation work. With FDO, the world is very different. It's fast. It's about a minute per device, depending on the kind of compute level. And it's automated. It's highly secure. There are no passwords. It's all handled through cryptographic keys. There's no skills needed for the installation. You literally provide networking, provide power. Everything else is handled. Obviously, that significantly lowers the installation costs and, of course, the installation time. And then it's an open standard, so it's available to everyone within the ecosystem. So what does it look like when you're actually installing it? So, well, number one, you just need to drop ship your hardware device to the point of installation. As I said, have it powered up and connected to the network. And then really all of the provisioning and onboarding takes place automatically to its control platform. So it's very fast, it's scalable, and it handles all the onboarding and activation. As I said, for the person installing it, it's zero trust, it's fast. It works with pretty much any hardware. You can use it with a small microcontroller all the way up to heavy Xeon processors used in cloud-like applications. All kinds of hardware and software configurations pretty much are supported, whether you've got intranet, internet, closed network, multi-tenant, all of those can be supported. And we actually have some videos that can walk you through how you would do that using FDO. As I'll also mention, we have a technology called late binding, which basically means we reduce the number of product SKUs needed. In terms of software implementations, there are multiple out there. There are versions in Go, versions in Java, versions in Rust. And so whether you're looking for a commercial implementation or commercially supported, or whether you want to take open source, all of those are available to you. And then we have a certification program. Clearly, whether you're building products or whether you're buying FDO products, you need to have confidence that those products meet the specification. And we achieve that with our certification program, which is provided by the FIDO Alliance. So let's go through quickly how it works as a technology. And as I said, there are some in-depth videos available for you if you want to drill in a little deeper. But let's imagine there on the left side of the screen, we have a manufacturing facility that's building, in this case, let's say it's industrial computers. One thing you're going to have from a software perspective is the FDO manufacturing tool. And this is the tool that installs the client into the device and it installs the cryptographic credentials. And the other thing it creates is something called the ownership voucher. Now, this is one of the unique kind of capabilities of FDO. In addition to the credentials that are placed into the device it manufacture, we create this cryptographic voucher called the ownership voucher that basically is a proof of ownership. If you have the voucher, you can demonstrate that you are the owner of that device. The device itself is shipped, be it one, be it 1,000, be it 10,000, and they'll maybe go through VARs or distributors or other people in the supply chain. But at some point, it will come to the point where you've decided, hey, I know where I want to upload this. I know where I want to onboard. I own this product. So the first thing you do as the owner of the device is you send the ownership voucher to your target cloud. And again, that can be on-premise, it can be in the cloud, it could be multi-tenant. The first thing that does in turn is it registers that ownership voucher with something we call the rendezvous server, which acts like a redirect, kind of a DNS. The device itself is connected to the network by a technician, it's powered up, and the first thing it does on power up is call the rendezvous server. And it knows to do that because when it was assembled, it was given the address of one or more rendezvous servers, and they can be local or they can be on the cloud. Again, your choice, and you can have a selection of both. So it calls up the rendezvous server and it says basically, hey, this is me. Who is my owner? Well, the rendezvous server has the ownership voucher, so it knows who the owner should be. It doesn't prove that that's the owner at this point. It basically redirects the device. The device then makes contact with its target cloud. It says, hey, this is me. I have my credentials here that prove who I am. The cloud in return says, hey, I have this ownership voucher and I can prove that I am your legitimate owner. So when we talk about zero trust architectures, in this case, we have zero trust in both directions because the device has to prove that it actually is the legitimate device and the cloud has to prove that it's the legitimate owner. Once the mutual authentication takes place, and again, that's cryptographically done, then a secure channel is established and onboarding takes place and you can do a multitude of things. And at which point, basically, credentials, you can start sending data between the device and the cloud. I mentioned the late binding capability. Late binding says, look, today, typically, when you use an onboarding solution that says it's zero touch, and there are several out there, the big difference is they all require that you program in unique credentials at the point of manufacture for each customer. So customer one, customer two, customer three all get unique SKUs of the device. With FDO, you don't need to do that. You can build identical devices and then just ship them to each customer, the same device. And because that link between the device and the cloud only takes place at the point of onboarding, there's no need to uniquely program each device. You can basically have a single device for all customers. We talked a little bit about this, so I'll move quickly on it. The main concept behind zero trust security is really never trust, always verify. And with the ownership voucher, as I mentioned, you're really verifying in both directions. So you really get the security of knowing it's the right device in the right cloud. And again, how those ownership vouchers flow depends on what you're doing. If you have all of your devices going to a single cloud, life is simple. You can send all of the ownership vouchers there. If you have a multi-tenant, then they're flowed to those individual cloud tenant servers. The specification for FDO has been upgraded over the years. It was created by this esteemed group of people, and as you can see, really it's kind of a who's who of people in the technology space. The specification today is version FIDO 1.1, but as you'll be hearing from Brad, we're soon to announce updates to 1.2, and he'll tell you about what features will be included in that. I did mention certification. Really, for us, we provide a full certification workflow, and it can cover hardware products, obviously devices, but it can also cover people who have software solutions, whether it's the rendezvous or owner. But let's look at it for a device. In the device, we really have multiple elements here. We have functional evaluation, which is we're doing things like interop to prove that your device, if you're the person bringing it to the certification, that it plays nice with other FDO devices. Two, we actually do conformance testing. Does it meet the specification? So that if you say, look, I'm 1.1 certified, does it meet 1.1 specification? And then we have a security questionnaire, which is just to make sure that all the boxes have been ticked appropriately so that the device itself is as secure as is reasonable for that class of product. And those all together give you that FDO certification. And again, more information available should you like to know more. I talked about software. Obviously, FIDO Alliance and its members have created the specification, but many of you are saying, great, how do I implement it? Well, the good news is you don't need to. There is an open source, multiple open source implementations that you can look for. Linux Foundation Edge, you'll find different versions on that website that you can look at, whether it's in Go or in Java. Red Hat also have their own implementation, as have WinCSS. So again, multiple versions out there, and you can look at all of them and select which one is best for you. Briefly, why, adopt a standard? I mean, many of you may be saying, well, look, we could create our own. We know our market, we know our technology, we'll create our own standard for onboarding. What I would argue is that having an open standard such as FDO brings a lot of value. Number one, you get the brains from a lot of different people. So you get collective security expertise here. The specification adapts to meet needs, things like quantum computing. We're already working on it. So again, as the threats change, the specification enhances. Members are always enhancing the standard, and you're going to hear about that from Brad. We talked about certification, bringing vendors together. You create your own specification, and then you have to develop your own certification flow and deliver it to all of your partners. When you're doing your security analysis, it's just simpler because you're using a standard that's been well investigated. Maintaining software, if you create your own, it's really on you to keep it up to date. And obviously with an open standard, you have multiple solutions. And then last but not least, if you have a proprietary solution and the expert leaves, that clearly is challenging because you have to replace them. So in conclusion, FDO is highly flexible and it's extensible. It's evolving. and we'll talk about that, but we'll also talk about backward compatibility because I understand people will care about that. It saves end users money. It's not about just improving security, it's about reducing cost. It does offer a much higher level of security than typically offered with manual installation. It works on a very wide range of processors, operating systems, and applications. And as you'll hear, it's been selected by a wide number of people in the edge world. So, with that, I'd like to thank you for your time. And we're now going to move to David Hedge from ExxonMobil, who will tell you about their implementation.